Hello everyone, and welcome to this Explainer. Today we are diving into something absolutely fascinating. We're going to trace the incredible evolution of information and communication technology, or ICT for short. It's wild to think about, but we're looking at exactly how we moved from the physical limits of static paper all the way to the omnipresent mobile networks that literally surround us today. So if you're curious about not just the tech we use, but how it completely rewired human connection, well, you're in exactly the right place. Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a great roadmap ahead, covering 5 distinct eras: the roots of print, entering the digital web, consuming media in real time, the mobile network revolution, and finally, the connectivity paradox. Think of this as our roadmap. This expanding ecosystem of connection isn't just some random series of gadgets. It's a clear, massive evolutionary arc. We start way down on the local level with traditional media, like your classic physical newspaper. From there, we blast right into global digital broadcasts, dive into real-time media flows, and finally land on the omnipresent mobile communication we rely on every single minute of the day. It's an amazing progression from the physical world right into the invisible. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the roots of print. Now, even in our hyper-digital age, foundational printed media, like newsletters or local posters, still beautifully solves a basic human need: sharing information reliably within a local community. But as you know, today, even a simple printed piece has a digital heartbeat. Let's walk through that standard document assembly line on a word processor. You've definitely done this yourself. Step 1, you pop open your app. Step 2, import your media, pulling in those photos. Step 3 is formatting, kind of cropping and tweaking things to fit just right. Step 4 is where the magic really happens. You integrate the text, using text wrapping to make your words flow right around your pictures. And finally, Step 5, quality assurance, proofreading and firing up that trusty spell checker. But hey, here's the catch with that digital quality assurance. You absolutely cannot rely on spell checkers 100%. They're just machines following rules. For starters, they might be using a totally different regional dictionary, like British versus American English. But more importantly, they constantly miss homophones. You know, those tricky words that sound exactly the same but mean completely different things, like where, were, and where. If you spell the word correctly, the computer thinks you're good to go, even if the context makes zero sense. And beyond just spelling, there's the actual design. Think about the last time you saw a completely cluttered page. Squeezing too much info into one spot just creates visual chaos. And please, whatever you do, avoid using all caps. It literally reads like you are shouting loudly at your reader. Nobody wants that. A perfect newsletter relies on super clean, easy-to-read fonts like Arial, sticks to a standard 11 or 12-point size, and beautifully uses columns to organize the text and photos. Structure creates clarity, right? Moving right along, here is Section 2, entering the digital web. So the World Wide Web came along and completely solved the localized physical limits of paper. But it immediately introduced a brand new set of technological trade-offs. The pros? They are massive. We're talking instant global audience reach without using a single drop of ink or piece of paper. Plus, you can integrate rich media like video, drop in hyperlinks, and update everything in real time. But the cons are very real too. Having a website means your audience absolutely must have internet access and the right hardware. On top of that, your site has to be hosted on a web server somewhere, which opens the door to the constant looming risk of hacking and viruses. And this brilliantly illustrates that delicate balance of power versus peril. On one side, you have the heavy-hitting power of global reach and multimedia. On the other, the strict hardware needs and those security headaches. But I really want to point out one specific peril here: the discoverability hurdle. Unlike a physical poster hanging up in your local coffee shop where everyone walking by sees it, the internet is endlessly vast. For a website to actually work, people have to find it first. Honestly, targeting specific local groups online can suddenly be way harder than just handing someone a physical flyer on the street. This whole balancing act extends right into how we present information digitally, too. Multimedia presentations use animation, sound, and interactive links to grab an audience's attention, and it works way better than static slides. But watch out, because there is a tipping point. Going overboard with flashy elements means you suddenly need really expensive peripheral equipment, like high-end projectors, and worse, too much flash can fatally distract your audience from the actual core message. Engagement can turn into distraction in the blink of an eye. Okay, let's shift gears to Section 3, consuming media in real time. Eventually, the web evolved from just static text and simple sites into something way more fluid, which completely revolutionized how we read. Think about the rise of e-publications, digital books, magazines, all that. This caused a massive economic shift by literally eliminating the heavy cost of physical printing. But staring at a glowing computer monitor for hours on end hurts your eyes, right? Enter the hardware solution. Devices like the Kindle were a total game changer. They cleverly used specialized screen technology with a white background specifically engineered to mimic the look of real physical paper, so you get the magic of digital distribution combined with physical comfort. Now, what's really interesting here is how streaming works behind the scenes. When you stream a video, you aren't downloading the whole huge file first. Instead, the data is sent over the internet in a series of tiny packets. But since internet speeds constantly fluctuate, you'd get endless freezing. The clever fix? A buffering funnel. Basically, your computer grabs a small amount of incoming data and stores it in a buffer before actually playing it on your screen. This creates a nice, steady flow, keeping your videos smooth while it waits for the next data packet to arrive. Which brings us to Section 4, the mobile network revolution. For a long time, even with the web, we were still pretty much tethered to our desks. That is, until cellular networks finally cut the cord. But how does this mobile coverage actually work? Well, it's all about the hexagonal handoff. Geographic areas are divided into cells, usually shaped like hexagons, and each one is anchored by a transmission tower right in the middle. Picture this: you're driving toward the edge of a cell. Naturally, your phone's signal to that specific tower gets weaker. But before your call can drop, the network actively hands your connection off to the next closest tower. It's like a massive invisible relay race happening all around us. And that's exactly what gives us this illusion of omnipresent unbroken coverage. Let's peel back the layers of that device in your pocket. Your smartphone relies on a very specific toolkit to pull this off. First up is the SIM card, the Subscriber Identity Module. That's the tiny physical microchip that lets your specific phone authenticate and actually connect to the broader network. Next, you've got SMS, or short message service. Texting is ubiquitous, it's lightning fast, and historically often cheaper than a traditional voice call. Finally, there's VoIP, or Voice over Internet Protocol. This is huge. It transmits your voice and video calls over the internet instead of old-school phone lines. It's the exact tech powering the apps we use every day, like Zoom and FaceTime. Of course, to actually use VoIP or browse the web, your phone needs an internet connection. And generally, we have two main ways to do this: Wi-Fi or mobile data like 4G and 5G. But as you'll see, these are two very different beasts. When you stack them up side by side, Wi-Fi consistently takes the win on a few major fronts. For cost efficiency, Wi-Fi is the clear winner because it usually lacks those restrictive data caps that cellular networks use to bill you for high usage. For battery life, Wi-Fi wins again. It consumes way less device power because your phone isn't desperately scanning miles away to find a cell tower. And as for download speeds, assuming you are in range, Wi-Fi typically gives you faster, much more stable rates compared to the highly variable speeds you get jumping between towers on a mobile network. And finally, we arrive at Section 5, the connectivity paradox. We've spent this whole time exploring some absolutely incredible technological triumphs, but now we have to look at the very real human cost of all this. Tools like VoIP, streaming, and global mobile networks have made communication instant, borderless, and so incredibly cheap. So the crucial point is this: despite having this maximum unprecedented connectivity, the shift can actually lead to profound social isolation. Why? Because the rich, physical, face-to-face interactions we used to have are increasingly being replaced by isolated individuals just staring at their screens alone. Which brings us to the ultimate challenge of modern ICT. I want to leave you with a provocative question. Have we sacrificed true human connection in our endless pursuit of infinite global reach? We literally hold the entire world in our pockets today, yet the real challenge going forward will be learning how to balance that infinite digital reach with the genuine, physical connection we all still desperately need. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it gave you a powerful new perspective on the everyday tools we use. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.